Hi there. So, are you good at this skill? Do you have this skill, or maybe you're seriously bad at it? So, let's discuss. It's a personal development discussion so that we can be a better version of ourselves, and that will equate to a more successful business. So, this is a skill that I'm still working on, always working on this. So, but it can solve so many problems for you in all aspects of your life if you use it the right way. So let's discuss. So welcome. And if you're joining me live, please say hello, and on the replay too, because I'd love to shout out to you and join in the conversation. And if we haven't met before, my name is Olive Dodd, and I'm here to inspire, encourage, educate, train, help you in whatever way I can so that you can be successful online. So welcome. So it's beginning of the week, and it's a rainy day for me, but still we're here with smiles on, ready to go. So what we're talking about today is communication. So how many of you might expect others to know what's going on with you? And, maybe something they have done or haven't done, and you get a little bit huffy and you expect them to know, how you're feeling. And that's, can be such a start of it. And I'm sure I know I've done this before. And so now I try and catch myself and, think about it, expecting other people to be able to read your mind, like how often, does that happen? And then, so of course, then you're struggling with it and it's all in your head, right? So, unless you tell them, then you're just carrying the burden of this situation, and they're never going to know. So we need to use communication to really solve problems, right? Instead of playing the victim and, feeling sorry for ourselves and being huffy or carrying on, we need to solve the problems. So how do we do that? So of course we need to, let people know what's happening and, how we're thinking, right? So, like for instance, even just things in the house, somebody else can be listening to TV and the noise is really loud and you kind of get huffy, but, unless you tell them, then, they don't know. And then they go, oh, okay, well, if that really bothers you, then I can, do this or that. So it's so important to let them know, what's going on, how we're thinking and feeling, but how that's done too, can really make the difference. If it's just, getting emotional and loud about it, isn't going to maybe get the best reaction in return. So we need to communicate, how we're feeling in a calm, way, and, being very respectful too of their thoughts and, where they're at, so like maybe saying, I'm sure this wasn't your intention, but, this is how this makes me feel, and that kind of thing. And always talking about how it makes you feel. So, let me know, has things like that, happened to you? I'm sure, I know it's happened to me on both occasions. And so just being aware of this kind of thing, is really key in talking about it, because it's great to have reminders, right? And then also, have you gotten a text where you might feel, well, I'm really not sure how to take that. And so maybe there's some past experiences you might roll in, and this might validate that, or, you're just not sure. So text messages, can be a real kickstarted to, having a lack of communication, and how do you feel about text messages? If there's something that, might be a little bit emotional about that, then it's very easy to take it the wrong way when it's a written form. So, and also, people might say something in a text message that they would never say, in a conversation. So one of the biggest things you could do is, rather than saying it in a text message, leave a voice message. And that's so easy nowadays, right? Just push the microphone button. And then you have the the voice modulation and the sound and the emotions can be picked up a lot more in a voice message than just a text. And and so nowadays, even kids are using text messages. So, and we're losing that ability to communicate by, just constantly texting. So it's, that might be a much better way to communicate is through voice message rather than just a texting. And so looking for solutions, to what the situation is. So of course, something bothers us and we, feel that we want to complain or vent and that kind of thing. But also in that same conversation, finding a solution to it. So bringing up the situation, but then also offering a solution and taking responsibility for either your part in it or, for finding a solution. So, let me know, does that resonate with you? Have you been there? And, what are your experiences? What have you found? And have you found ways to get around this? So, let me know. Something else to think about is that nobody makes you feel a certain way except for yourself. People can say things to you and how you take them is how that makes you feel. So you choose how you're going to feel, from any conversation. So communication is such a key to everything. So, but you need to take, that responsibility, for what you're feeling, whether it's, from expectations or whatever it is, how do you resolve that? Solving that problem, so become the solution seeker rather than the victim, and realize that how you feel is totally on you. So one of the worst things that, bothers me is hanging on to an issue. If you let it brew and ferment, maybe over a day or two or something like that, then it just builds and builds and builds, right? And it's all in yourself. It's not affecting anybody else, especially if they don't know about it, right? So you're hanging on to this and it's ruining, your health, compromising your health when you're hanging on to it and letting it ferment. So, try and reach out to that person and solve that issue. And because if you don't do anything about it, it's on you. If you reach out and, they don't respond or they don't want to interact with you, then it's on them and you can let it go because you've tried, you've done your thing. So, because not everybody's going to want to communicate back. But one of my pet peeves is not letting somebody explain their situation. Like if somebody does something or let's say I do something and someone is annoyed at me for something that I have done, then one of my pet peeves is not having that, one opportunity to explain myself because maybe I didn't mean it in the way that they have taken it or whatever the situation is. But I really like that or hate that when somebody gets blamed for something, they didn't do. So I always like to give everyone, that chance to explain themselves. And then you can decide where to go to from there. But just that like opening that communication. And I hate going to bed at night, with some unresolved situation. So I'd love to resolve things or have that conversation, before the day ends so that then you sleep better and that kind of thing. Does anybody else, stay up at night when, you have something that's bothering you, right? So if you can resolve it, then you sleep better and that kind of thing. So solving that problem and taking the responsibility. And sometimes it's a tough conversation, right? It's something you have to work on because we don't like confrontation. So, but sometimes we need to really stand up and have a backbone and just dive right into it, even though, it might be scary and, just that radical honesty. And sometimes it's really refreshing when someone is totally honest and you don't have to, think about, okay, well, it's so honest that it's refreshing. So, yeah, it's scary sometimes, but really worth it. So, because our lives are our choices. So it's all in, what we decide to hang on to and what we decide to let go and how you handle it. And so the communication is key to so many things, relationships in your business, with your spouse, with your kids, with your family. And it's tough, right? But it's so refreshing. Does anybody know? I know someone who is very good at communication, and I really admire them because it's so wonderful. And I go, well, I really like to, pick up some of these qualities and use them more myself. So it's a really wonderful time to take note. So wondering if, you're a good communicator or someone is, as a wonderful example. So let me know, what you've gotten out of this and maybe, one of your biggest takeaways. It can make such a huge difference in your life and your relationships, and also help your health too, to let go of, some of these things that we carry, the burdens and that kind of thing. Oh, and one more aspect of this, a good communicator is also a good listener, right? So that means really listening and hearing what the other person has to say so that they feel heard, saying, even if you don't agree, you can say, well, I understand it, I don't agree, but I respect your point of view, right? So that's also very important. Okay, so hope that this has been very helpful to you. I know it's also always great to have a good reminder of some of these things. So until I see you again next time on Wednesday at 9 o'clock, I go live 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays at 9 a.m. Pacific time. So I look forward to seeing you again next time. Until then, have a wonderful day, and we will see you again. Bye for now.